And we wait, and it says live, and we always let it breathe just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, that was easy. You knew it was going to be that way, at least when you look at the Texans and the Cardinals. 31-5 was a baseball score for just a little bit, Bloom. You'd be proud of me that I actually cared enough to call it a baseball score there. But either way, 31-5. Texans can't do much against the Cardinals. They're rolling. They're undefeated at 7-0. The Texans are 1-6. And, well, David John. I mean, did you start anybody? We talked about Nico Collins as like a what the heck flex. You might have started Brandon Cooks 5 for 21. Nico Collins 2 for 28. David Johnson 5 for 27 as a receiver, 7 for 25 as a runner. Davis Mills 135 yards. So just not much here. Couldn't get much going, and the Cardinals roll in an easy one.
And a little hat tip to the Arizona defense. You know, so they didn't have Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt making some plays against his old team. So Arizona defense, especially in fantasy leagues, they're an every week play now. Hey, Vance Joseph. Yeah, exactly. So give a little praise his way. But it's just this Houston offense, and it's coming crashing back down. We'll maybe see Tyrod Taylor next week. Not that it gets much better with the Rams coming to town for the Texans. And yeah, like you said, okay, Cook's got you 7 points in PPR. That's a floor game this year, at least. And this is where we are. I think with the Texans, again, the main story here is, will Deshaun Watson get traded? We see some stuff coming out this morning via the NFL Network. And see, if it's on the NFL Network, that's the network of record, saying that he's not going to get suspended. If he gets traded, he's not going to get suspended. Unless he gets charged with a felony, which he has not been yet. So that's really the big story for the Texans. The football, not so interesting.
Not so interesting as we wait to see where he could go. What'd they say, Miami, Carolina, Denver? Is that right? Yes. Ian Rappaport said that. Okay. Notice how I'm in a better mood, Bloom. It's a day without Broncos football. So, hey, there you go.
And Steelers football.
Kyler Murray, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INTs in this one. Zach Ertz, the new guy, 3 for 66 and a touch. That worked. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 for 53 and a touch. Christian Kirk, 4 for 50 and a touch. And AJ Green, 3 for 66, including that big 41-yarder. Don't know how he got that wide open, but he did. Rondell Moore continues to not do much in his bit roll, 2 for 17. Chase Edmonds, 15 for 81. And then James Conner, 10 for 64 and a rushing touchdown, of course, as Kyler does less with his legs. The Cardinals roll, and they make it look easy.
Yeah, too easy, right? For fantasy, this is just too easy. And that's why Murray's numbers were just okay. Murray hasn't been doing as a runner, but Cecil, isn't that a good thing? Isn't it a good thing they're 7-0 without having to rely on Murray's legs?
And they can unleash him in the playoffs.
Exactly.
When he's fresh.
And keep defenses off balance. But yeah, not subjecting himself to injury. Ertz getting involved. He actually had a fumble at the goal line, I think, or he could have had an even bigger day. But you see him getting involved, and he's going to be the last priority, even though he's Zach Ertz. He's late career Zach Ertz. AJ Green looks good. AJ Green, he doesn't look like prime AJ Green, but that would be one of the stories of the year. But he doesn't look like the player he was broken down the last few years. And, of course, you also have Hopkins getting his. Maybe there's a little more there for him if the plays were a little more precise, but they didn't need to be. Kirk getting his touchdown. Rondale Moore. We just keep waiting for Rondale Moore. So that's how it goes. Only 3 wide receivers can be solid plays because it was just too easy of a game. Maybe not so easy with Green Bay coming. That's going to be a fun quarterback duel next week.
That's going to be a great duel, and that's for sure. We'll look forward to that one. This one was not a great quarterback duel. 38-3. Tampa Bay gets that win over the Chicago Bears. And, well, we knew that was going to happen. Just how would it happen and how would it look? For the Bears side, as they're 3-4 now, Justin Fields, 3 picks, 184 yards. Khalil Herbert had 100 yards. So there you go. Damian Williams is back. He didn't do anything. Khalil Herbert also had 5 for 33 as a receiver. So there you go. Cole Kmet, 5 for 43. Darnell Mooney, 2 for 39. Why am I talking about Bears players? Oh, Allen Robinson.
Right.
Oh, Allen Robinson. So basically, we were just watching the backfield split, and it's still Herbert as the lead guy.
bless his heart, right? You just look at Khalil Herbert's effort in this game, his line that he actually was a useful fantasy running back against the Bucs when his offense scored 3 points. And yeah, he's not going to take the backfield over from David Montgomery, but he may take some edge off of Montgomery's value when he comes back. And I don't want to say he's matchup proof. That's kind of weird. I mean, some of it was this game just got away from the Bears really quickly. And on that note, he's, like I've said, you got to let him learn how to drive the car. He might wreck the car. Okay, first play they come out and it's a drop back pass. They don't account for Antoine Winfield, or maybe he doesn't account for Antoine Winfield. Who knows exactly who it's on? And he gets creamed on the first play. So it's like, yeah, you let him drive the car to the driveway, and immediately here comes a big semi. So maybe that's why they're not having him throw. I don't know, Cease. I just know that Matt Nagy was an offensive coach. How can this team have one of the worst offenses in the league? It is that bad. I don't think they've been over 24 points this year. And, again, now we're stuck. Like, open the offense up, let Fields do things. Ooh, no, that doesn't look safe. That looks scary for him. So where are we? Nowhere, really. The Bears are nowhere. And, they're not one of those teams like the Jets or the Lions or the Texans or the Jags where it's just amazing if they get a win. But in some ways, they're worse off because not much of what they have right now is going to take them anywhere, and I don't know that the organization can see that. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, this is what they do against inferior opponents.
That's what they do, and of course they rush the quarterback and they crush the quarterback. 4 sacks. Part of the reason why they let him run, Bloom, is like they just kept harassing Fields. So Tom Brady goes 4 touchdowns, and I believe every game but one at home, Mike Evans has had 2 touchdown grabs. Right. Every game except the opener, I believe, against Dallas. So 6 for 76 and 3 touchdowns for Mike Evans, 3 of the 4. Chris Godwin, 8 for 111 and a touch. Nice to see him sparked. And he got a little bit banged up, Bloom. Let me know if there's was anything behind that. He went to the sidelines complaining about his chin strap or something. Anyway, nobody else did anything. O.J. Howard got the death stare from Tom Brady on missing a block one time. Brady didn't even get sacked. He just got kind of brushed. And that was enough for him to give that death stare, the look of death, to O.J. Howard. Leonard Fournette got a rushing touchdown, 81 yards on the ground. Good job. A couple catches there for 9 yards as well. And Tampa, they're just rolling in a game like this, 6-1 now.
Yeah, and Tom Brady's rolling too. And see, this is like, it's like climbing Mount Everest. He got to 602 today, right? He passed 600 pass touchdowns in this one. Mike Evans actually gave it to someone in the crowd, and they had to go back and say, "Oh, actually, that's an historic football. Can we get that one back?"
It was a lady wearing an Evans jersey because there was people at the front, and he was like, parting the Red Sea, like move. I want to give it to that lady.
Well, that was actually 601 or 602. 600, he gave to some dude right in the front row, and they came back and got that. So then on that one,
so what does that guy get? Like lifetime season tickets?
Right, something. And it's just funny, Cease, because you can think of Mount Everest and getting to the hilt, getting to the crest, and planting your flag there, but it's almost like Brady. They didn't even realize that Mount Everest actually keeps going, and he's going to plant his flag somewhere that no one's going to be able to get to ever. And it's quite fun to watch if you're a part of it for fantasy football. Without Antonio Brown out there, it was actually Chris Godwin who had a better day. Mike Evans had a massive day. And what you like here is Brady. Simple. Just throw it up there. Evans is going to find a way to get free and make the play no matter how the coverage looks when the ball's in the air. Not so much a day for Tyler Johnson. I feel like this is one, and Cease, I hate this is not a move I'm going to go to that often. I think it's a good process, bad outcome. He threw 4 touchdowns. It was just the game got away so quickly. Easily 1 or 2 of those could have gone to Tyler Johnson. He's a good player. But without Antonio Brown out there, it was Evans and Godwin. Not O.J. Howard also, who had a good week last week. It's just there was really only a half of this game that the Bucs offense had it going full speed. And also, speaking of full speed, Ronald Jones putting some effort out there, showing that he still has something left. Maybe we're thinking about him on his next team. New Orleans, Tampa Bay. First showdown of the year between these two next week. That should be some fun. I hope it will be fun because obviously no love lost between those teams.
I found myself today enjoying Cincinnati. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I also found myself just looking forward to next week. Today's games weren't great. Washington, the football team, against the Green Bay Packers. 24-10, the final score. Pack at the win. They're 6-1. WFT, and I always try to say WTF, they're 2-5. Sorry, Joe. Taylor Heineke, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. But just like the wild card game, which they kept talking about, used his legs, and 10 for 95 on the ground. Antonio Gibson, 14 for 51. It was Terry McLaurin, 7 for 122 and a touch. Ricky Seals-Jones, 6 for 51. And did I hear right, Bloom? You can correct me if I'm wrong, that Eric Dickerson somehow ran across Ricky Seals-Jones' family member or something like that. I kind of heard the story on Red Zone, and he's like, "You're talented, but you're lazy."
Yeah.
And if Eric Dickerson's telling you that, like, that's a Hall of Famer, right? And Ricky Seals-Jones revamped his game, rejuvenated stuff, and came through today. Just wasn't enough, not even close for Washington.
No. Well, kind of. Okay. Because actually, the Packers' red zone defense was a big role in this game.
Well, it's that Heineke touchdown. Like,
but there was more than that.
Blankety blank touchdown.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that's a touchdown. Like, he gives himself up. Like, oh my God. The NFL always does this with one rule. It's a catch or not a catch, or taunting or not taunting, or celebrating or not celebrating. And then this stupid, like, that's a touchdown. Any football fan can watch that and say, Taylor Heineke scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and you're right. But in addition to that, there was a play where Ricky Seals-Jones on 4th and goal probably was pass interference. Maybe it was pass interference. Ricky Seals-Jones doesn't get that call. He's not going to
get that call.
Right. Bad interception that Taylor Heineke threw in the end zone. And then the one you mentioned, and what's really fascinating about this, they mentioned in the game that for Heineke it was a really big deal to play in Lambeau. Like, emotionally.
Yeah, he wears 4 for Favre. He was a Favre fan. He did the Lambeau leap after that touchdown. Then they took it away.
That didn't count. That's the thing, right? So they changed the rule that if a quarterback goes down without anyone around him, he's giving himself up and the play's over. Even though 5 years ago, you could just army crawled into the end zone at that point. So they reviewed it. He thought he scored. They reviewed it and said, because of the rule, no touchdown. And then on 4th down, he was trying to extend the ball over the goal line. It got popped out of his hands. He grabbed it again, put it over the goal line, but they said his forward progress was stopped. And you couldn't help but feel, Cease, that he was struck down for doing a Lambeau leap in the opposing uniform. They're not supposed to do that, man.
He did it to a Washington fan, though.
Yeah.
Washington jersey.
Yeah, but, Cease, that's the kind of stuff that's bad juju. And so the point is that he moved the offense well enough to make this a competitive game, but they kept fizzling out in the red zone. Terry McLaurin was good. He got hot early, drew pass interference. He could have had another touchdown that kind of clanked off of him. You also saw in this one, Antonio Gibson, getting some run. There was one play. Here's another turn in this game, Cease. There was one play where he was coming through a crease, and he just had Darnell Savage to beat in the open field. He just would have had to make a miss or break the tackle, and he would have been gone for an 80-yard touchdown. He trips over Eric Flowers. Next play, interception. I mean, that's just how this game went for this team. All right. And where do we get? And Ricky Seals-Jones came through for you all right. J.D. McKissick at least caught some passes. I'm sorry, not an interception. Rashawn Gary, who's really coming along this year with Zadarius Smith hurt with a strip sack. Anyway, my point here is next week, can there be more depressing of a matchup, Cease, than Washington and Denver?
Yeah, it'd be close. Yeah. A few times every day. There you go. Aaron Rodgers. And I found that line, Bloom, by the way.
Yeah.
It's for an off-air conversation.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I found it. I found it for sure. So there you go. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns, no INTs, 274 yards, and they didn't run the ball at all.
No.
15 rushing attempts, and a couple of them were Equanimous St. Brown and Kylan Hill.
Right.
There you go. So A.J. Dillon is the what the heck flex. Washington, they don't play defense. Well, yeah, they don't. Just Rodgers did everything through the air. Devontae Adams, 6 for 76 and a touch. Was it actually tight end day?
Like, it was.
They were joking around. I'm like, this
no,
is what
it actually
I
was. Yeah.
I have to mini rant here because I hate it's National Orange Peel Day, right? It's national, and everyone's like, it's Daughter Day. Did you post a picture? I'm like, oh my God, seriously? Now, if it's an official holiday or whatever,
sure.
Okay, fine, participate. Hey, St. Patrick's Day or Cinco de Mayo or whatever. But all these stupid made-up days, just because, it's the National Valentina Salsa Day. I celebrate every day, Bloom.
Right.
By the way, Valentina,
it's good hot sauce.
I did not know this. Yeah. Good hot sauce, but she was in the Mexican army, and she was Mexico's Mulan. Oh. So I've passed on her story to a few of my movie friends. To be like, yeah, Mexico has their own Mulan. And when her braids, they discovered her braids and they kicked her out. Anyway, so Yeah, so all these fake days, okay, so it really was tight end day. So Robert Tonyan actually did something. 4 for 63 and a touch. Alan Lazard 5 for 60 and a touch, and here we go. Loop-de-loo. The Packers win one at home.
See, so I'm going to be that guy here. Okay, I don't even know if I said this to you. I think I did because I tell you everything at least like twice or three times. It was probably 6 or 7 or 8 years ago when it occurred to me that there's going to be a gold rush on the National Something Day. There were probably some days left on the calendar that weren't even taken yet, but we were starting to get to the point where some days had two things, and I thought, "Uh-oh, you better get your flag planted on your day because soon." And the other thing is, and I don't think anyone's done this yet, and someone take this out there and run with it, is a calendar of all these days and a sanctioning body, right? So you don't just get to say it's National Ramen Noodle Day. You know, someone needs to appoint themselves the sanctioning body of a day, an official day. And then you can make some money off of it, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? It's Orange Peel Day brought to you by the Citrus Council, right? I mean, it's all just...
Jose says National Fantasy Analyst Day.
National Fantasy Analyst brought to you by Footballguys. Yeah, National Hug Your Fantasy Analyst Day. National whatever. But I like the idea because here in New Orleans, we'll celebrate anything. There's a great version of a song from Irma Thomas, the Soul Queen of New Orleans, where she started talking about, we'll celebrate anything. See, she lists off everything they celebrate in New Orleans. You know what the last thing on the list is? When the pregnancy tests come back negative. Anyway, we'll celebrate everything. We'll celebrate Aaron Rodgers today, and he had to work for everything. All right, this was not an easy day. The Washington pass defense is supposed to be so bad, and this is what they call in the fantasy industry a funnel defense, right? Where their pass defense is so bad that you're going to attack it. You're not going to attack the run defense. Hence, Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon had a fumble in this one, by the way. This was going to be a smash spot if Washington wasn't going to be very competitive, and instead they were. So the running backs don't do much. You had one drive, Cease, no joke. Alan Lazard, 5 catches. Was it 5 for 70, something like that? And a touchdown. It was all on one drive. It was all on one drive. You also had Robert Tonyan finally doing something, so maybe next week against Arizona you would stick with him. And then, of course, Davante Adams. And the touchdown to Davante Adams, it was really something pretty sweet. It was a 4th down. Rodgers was scrambling, threw against his body to the middle of the field. You never do that unless you're Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams on the other end of it. And then it's a touchdown because that's how it works. And, that's it. It's really fun. See, so I want to say this. It's really, really fun to watch Rodgers to Adams. It's one of the all-time hookups. I mean, the way that they play that two-man game, it's one of the all-time hookups, and they had it going on that play, so I enjoyed that. And, a good balanced performance overall in terms of the offense and the defense doing some of the heavy lifting, specifically that red zone defense, and they're going to need it against Kyler Murray next week.
One of those all-time hookups that'll probably move together.
Oh, hey.
Together. Mm-hmm.
Maybe closer to you than we think.
Let's get closer to you on this next one. Kansas City versus Tennessee. And I think that the jump to conclusion mats need to be taken away from everybody because here's what happens. And it's really awful for everyone involved. This whole when Kyle Pitts wasn't doing anything. Oh, see, I told you never take a tight end that high. Yeah. And then when Jamar Chase dropped a zillion passes in the preseason, right? See, they should have never taken. They got to get a tackle and so you have this narrative with the Chiefs where there were some people, very, very brave people, Bloom, saying something's wrong with Kansas City. No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with Kansas City. There's something wrong with Kansas City. There is 27-3, the final score. Tennessee, and they shut it down.
All the way down.
27-0 in the first half. This is Pat Mahomes' largest deficit he's ever had. The Chiefs are now 3-4. Titans now 5-2. Big, huge win for Tennessee, man. And we'll get to the Tennessee side in a little bit, but we could pick through the Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill's a little bit banged up. Yeah. The numbers, whatever. Darrell Williams didn't do anything. 4 yards carried, nice, but they're out of it. 14-0 in the first quarter, so they go away from running the ball, which they do anyway, Bloom. But so box score aside, I just want to ask you, what the hell is wrong with Kansas City?
Yeah, this is a good one, Cecil. And I agree with you. Last week against Washington, okay, everything's fine, calm down. No, don't calm down because something is wrong with this team. A lot of things come to mind, Cecil. One is this idea that a dynasty is really hard in the NFL now, right? I mean, the league catches up so quickly. hero ball, whatever you want to call it, whatever Mahomes is doing. Plus, the offensive line is disintegrated. Plus, the defense isn't doing any favors for this team. And it was almost like Tennessee just got Kansas City in a headlock and just kept pounding them.
Right.
Noogies. You know what I mean? On both sides of the ball, Kansas City just looked overmatched. So with Mahomes, you name it, he found a way to mess that up, right? I mean, throwing an interception, getting the ball stripped when he's scrambling by Kevin Byard. Bud Dupree early on. Bud Dupree actually got a sack for the Titans. That was a sign, right? And the Titans pass rush. So first of all, the offense, the play calling and execution is not putting them in good down distances. 3rd and 11 versus 3rd and 3. 3rd and 11, you're putting Mahomes in a bad spot. And then when you add on to that the Titans pass rush was actually getting home. The Titans pass rush was not letting, because this is a Titans defense that we want to pick on for fantasy football. This was going to be the highest scoring game of the day, right? 58-point over-under or something like that. But it was difficult. Everything was difficult for Patrick Mahomes. And Cecil, I wish I could remember who said it, but they said something like, Mahomes looks like he thinks he needs to score 21 points on every play. Mm-hmm. And you understand why he would think that and take that on. But no quarterback is going to succeed when they're pressing like that. And wow, was he pressing in this one. So, Cecil, I think we have to step back and say, is the Kansas City multiplier effect in effect for fantasy football anymore? Now, granted, against weak defenses, is the Giants' weak defense? That's who's up next week. I don't know. They're not Washington. But we're going to have to maybe tread with caution, especially if you do the DFS thing, because you're rethinking Tyreek Hill, who only garbage time really bailed him out, and bailed him out to the point where he wasn't a complete liability. Travis Kelce on National Tight End Day. He had 3 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, ceased 1 cent. 1 in the last 5 games. Okay. It's Byron Pringle stepping up. That's great. And what do we have in Darrell Williams? He sponged off the offense last week and got 2 touchdowns. This week, at least he got a few receptions. This was the first game without an offensive touchdown in the Patrick Mahomes era for Kansas City. And it's against Tennessee. It's a bottom 10 defense. And it's also, and we're going to talk about Tennessee, this is a meaningful game. These teams in the AFC, these quarterbacks in the AFC, they know who's the obstacle. They know who's the boss at the end of the level that you have to beat to get to the next level. And it flipped in this game, Cease. So much so that, I get it, the Tennessee-Buffalo game could have went either way. So maybe we can say Tennessee and Buffalo are co-favorites. But wow, Tennessee's a favorite. In the first game of the year, this is a great don't overreact to week 1, right? In the first game of the year, Arizona just pushed them around and made them look feeble, made them look like they didn't have any opportunity to hang in their own building against Arizona. Now, granted, Arizona was 7-0, but certainly this is a week 1. Don't panic. And also, they lost to the what? How did this team? I know AJ Brown was out. I know they lost to the Jets. It was so bizarre. See, so I'm watching the Jets losing like 54-13, and I'm watching Tennessee do this to Kansas City. How did just like a month ago? NFL, I don't understand.
Things change pretty quickly around here. That's what Joe always says, and it rings true. Bloom, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. Todd Bowles didn't allow him to have a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So that might be regular season. Regular season, right? Regular season. Because you said that, and I was like, wait a second, Todd Bowles.
Yeah, regular season. Sorry.
Yeah, because he stole Vic Fangio's playbook. Yeah, right. Anyway, walk the line. Tennessee Titans side, Ryan Tannehill, 271 touchdown, 1 INT, 1 rushing touchdown as well. Derrick Henry throws a touchdown.
Yeah.
Runs 29 for 86 in this one. AJ Brown, 8 for 133 and a touch. Julio Jones, 2 for 38. I was texting with our friend Tatum Bell, and he had a trade. I was motivating him. I motivated him to trade away Julio Jones.
Right.
And I think he got like Nuke or something. There was some sort of package. And I was like, if you're getting rid of Jones, you win that deal. Julio, 2 for 38. McCoyle Pruitt, 2 for 27. You shouldn't be starting him. You should be starting CJ Uzomah. Notice how I just want to talk about Cincinnati. But let's talk about Tennessee, because they did it, man. And they completely shut this down. What was the over under 58 you said? They could have had 58 themselves. Right.
They just didn't need it. And remember this. So at home, both games are at home. But still, they had Buffalo come in on Monday night and won a nail-biter, an absolutely exhausting, draining game. And they turn around and basically 5 days later do this to Kansas City. This is important, and we talked about this on the preview, but I didn't think it was going to go like this. That this is a playoff simulation. You want to go to the Super Bowl, you have to be able to do things like edge out Buffalo in an emotionally draining victory and then turn around 5.5 days later and play Patrick Mahomes and bring it up the intensity again. And wow, did they. So now you're looking at this Tennessee team in an entirely different light. Because, again, if they just get to the tournament, and right now I don't know how the tiebreakers would break out, but they might be the number 1 seed right now because of who they've beaten. My point is just that for this team, the confidence they now possess, knowing that they can do this, means when you get to the playoffs, and this team is a battle-tested playoff team, right? They all have playoff experience. They have playoff experience together with their coach. So this is really exciting, Titans fans. Really, really exciting. Michael Pruitt, like you said, on tight end day, getting that one from Derrick Henry. So it's a down day. All you got from Henry was a passing touchdown. One thing I would like to see, though, maybe when you're ahead in the second half, let Derrick Henry rest a little bit. I mean, I get it. He can do 30 carries a game and probably says, give me another one, give me another one, another one. But come on. Really? Was that necessary in this game? There was
and I don't want him to break 2105. I know records don't mean anything in the NFL the way they do in like baseball.
Right.
But like 2105 with Eric Dickerson stood since 1984. I don't want to see that broken because of a 17-game season.
Right. And just that they're going to give him like 450 carries. Anyway, A.J. Brown looked like A.J. Brown. He looked like A.J. Brown in the second half last week, and that carries over. So maybe there's some slumping fantasy teams with A.J. Brown that are going to start having a big second half of the fantasy football regular season because he looks like himself again. Julio actually looked pretty good. It's just this game didn't need a lot of Julio or the passing game in general. You're just glad that A.J. Brown got his big plays in before it got out of hand. So I think maybe Julio will be coming to a hold-on segment near you. And Tennessee's going for the season sweep of the Colts next week.
Make that statement, right? That's what we said before that game. We said this is the statement game in a division that's and Tennessee's been doing it. Some games we spent a little time with, Bloom, maybe too much time on some. Sure. But usually Broncos. You got to take a proud papa moment out because we saw it. It was in London, right? When the pits break out and nobody played, like no Gage, no Ridley, whatever. Well, they did it again. Atlanta 30, Dolphins 28, Matt Ryan 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Kyle Pitts 7 for 163. Proud papa. Russell Gage 4 for 67 and a touch. Calvin Ridley 4 for 26 and a touch. Hayden Hurst 3 for 35, like it matters. Cordero Patterson with a rushing touchdown, 14 for 60. And I know, Bloom, and you would never say this, I'll say it for you.
Okay.
I know that there were, people, Sigmund, he loves Pitts, he's going to blow bubbles of Pitts or whatever. And I never did that on this show for a couple of reasons. One, obviously I respect you. And two, the talent's there.
Yeah.
If they just figure it out, you were ahead of Arthur Smith. Like, figure it out, use him, and you see it. So if you'd like to gloat, I know it's not your way, Sigmund, but if you'd like to, now's your time.
Yeah, look, the important thing here is that Matt Ryan's taking chances throwing the ball downfield to him in coverage, and he's making plays because he's Kyle Pitts. A great one-handed play in this one. There was one when he was lined up outside Cecil against Xavier Howard. Guess who won that battle? Not Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard had an up and down day, got beat a few times, had an interception. This was a back and forth game. It was a very entertaining game between two teams going nowhere. You did finally get a Calvin Ridley touchdown here. It was still a short one. Look, Calvin Ridley's not going to get those deep posts. You did see actually a beautiful deep ball from Matt Ryan to Russell Gage because, I don't know, Miami thought he wasn't an eligible receiver on the play. I don't understand what happened on the play. See, remember when we thought Miami's defense was like an up-and-comer? They had that worked out. No. See, also in this one coming out of the bye, Cordero Patterson only caught a couple of balls, but he's the lead running back and a good running back, a tough running back, a running back that if you need that 1 yard on 3rd and 1, he's going to find a way to get that 1 yard. So one way or the other, this is where we are in the year 2021 season fantasy football. Cordero Patterson has durable value in a way that we've never seen before. Truly unprecedented, right? Like he has a 3 or 4 week stretch where he's doing it as a wide receiver. Now he's going to do it as a running back. And it was his destiny, and it's fun. For those of us that at different times in his career were still enamored with him, thinking that maybe one day somebody would figure it out again, Arthur Smith. For fantasy football, at least, we like this a lot. I think it was Xavier Howard beat on the long touchdown to Russell Gage, by the way. And the defense, they were opportunistic. Tua, a few interceptions. But they made the plays when they needed to. They made the plays when they needed to. When Tua actually led the Dolphins back to a 28-27 lead in this game. So, hey, all right. Atlanta's not going anywhere. At least maybe Matt Ryan's building some trade value for the offseason, something like that. But inside of the division, Cease, you know these games matter to these players. Guess what? Next week, the Carolina Panthers. Finish him.
Yes. So Matt Ryan building trade value, Bloom. He's also doing something else.
Huh.
Strengthening the heartstrings on Arthur Blank. See, he's still got something left.
Yeah.
Like, let Fontenot run it. Let Fontenot run it. Fontenot's good man.
Right.
Good football mind. Let Fontenot run it. Dolphins side, you said Tua, he had a good day. A couple picks, though, but 291, 4 touchdowns. 2 INTs, like I said. Mike Gesicki, 7 for 85 and a touchdown. Throwing it up to the big man. Let him go get it. Jalen Waddle, 7 for 83. Mac Hollins with a touchdown. Isaiah Ford with a touchdown. Myles Gaskin with a touchdown. What all those guys have in common? Players you probably didn't start. Maybe Gaskin, right, by apocalypse. And Gaskin had 15 for 67 on the ground. So they're doing it, but not with, your Preston Williams or whoever else, Devontae Parker or whatever. They're just not winning, and this becomes not a Tua problem, but a Brian Flores problem.
Right. As you people in the chat room are alluding to the talk about Deshaun Watson going to the Dolphins. Tua wasn't bad. And Tua, again, here's one of the things that impresses you about Tua, especially bringing up Sam Darnold or the specter of Sam Darnold. Tua has a process. Tua is in tune with the offense. He's in tune with the play design. He executes on time. He's not quite a rhythm passer or just a rhythm passer. You see some more athleticism and toughness. Just some really poorly timed interceptions in this one, where it felt like the things were starting to get going for the Dolphins, but then he still brought them back to take the lead late in the game. So you start out with a 7-minute drive. Don't you love that, Cease? Isn't that basically what every coach makes their nipples get hard? 7-minute drive to open the game. You know what I mean? That's what every coach wants, right? So he did it.
Better give me a sorry, Joe, on that one.
I guess it's arousal. I don't know. I guess there's probably people that maybe don't know about that. Malcolm Brown actually comes out and gets the touches earlier on, but then he gets hurt with a quad injury, and here's Myles Gaskin. See, this is 2021 in fantasy football on the Waiver Wire Show. Pick up Myles Gaskin. Drop Myles Gaskin. Pick up Myles Gaskin. We're back on pick up Myles Gaskin. Something will happen next week probably against Buffalo. We'll say drop Myles Gaskin. He looks good, though. I mean, he looks like the best running back they have. I don't understand why they haven't been treating him like that. So, Tua, he had an interception in the end zone that was terrible. He had an interception after a quick change turnover that was terrible, where he was trying to do too much. But at the same time, Myles Gaskin with his tackle breaking ability gets a touchdown. Mac Hollins, they said he was faking the dunk over the crossbar. I think he just went up and realized, I'm not going to get it. This is going to look bad. So I'm going to make it look like a fake. For fantasy football, what did you expect here? Devontae Parker out. Preston Williams, it's just not clicking, even though it was last year for a little bit with Tua. It's a Mike Gesicki game, National Tight End Day, and it's a Jalen Waddle game. Waddle got rolled up on this one, but was okay. The other thing you think about here, Cease, is, okay, whatever. Atlanta's not going anywhere. Miami's not going anywhere. But remember, Miami does not have their own draft pick. So a narrow loss like this, it hurts. It really, really hurts. And speaking of hurts, it's Philadelphia who says, we're going to get a guy to replace Hurts with your pick as you go to Buffalo and probably lose again next week.
All right, the Jets and the Patriots. Well, this one wasn't close. 54-13. Lots of trickery. We'll get to the New England side. I mean, the Jets side, I guess, is Michael Carter getting used more. Okay, duly noted. Elijah Moore with the rushing touchdown. Duly noted. Corey Davis gets a touchdown. Okay, cool, whatever. James Crowder not doing much, whatever. Ty Johnson did a little bit more as a receiver today. Almost a devil line of 6 for 65. But the Zach Wilson knee injury, let's talk about that. Mike White comes in, throws a couple of picks, 200 yards, and a touchdown. Well, let's talk. Do you have a Wilson update and your thoughts on the Jets? Because the New England side is fascinating.
Yeah.
The players and, again, the trickerification.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is one, and we're going to talk about Detroit. And this is really, folks, what Dan Campbell's doing in Detroit, not to make this a Detroit show, it's pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Because the Jets, much like the Lions, are just so completely outflanked. The roster, you just look at the roster and you watch the way it plays out on the field, and they're just outflanked. They're bringing the spork to a knife fight. I mean, it's just not going to work out for this team. But yet, as a coach, Robert Saleh, you have to keep these guys motivated. You have to keep these guys focused. You have to, I mean, because there's nothing worse than, it's like boxing, Cease. If you go into the ring and you're overmatched and you can't even protect yourself. And that was how you felt about the Jets. And that's how you felt about the Jets in the first matchup. So what was interesting about this one is now we're getting to the time, like Tennessee and Indy, where we're seeing the rematches of some of these divisional battles. And we check back in with these teams and we see where they are. Like Tennessee, for instance, they're in a different place than they were, say, a month ago. Like the Jets are when they beat the Titans. Yeah, they're in a different place too. Let's talk about Zach Wilson. A PCL injury. I'm not sure how much time he's going to miss. I'll leave that to Dr. Gene. But there was a play previously to the play he went out on where his leg got rolled up on. And then the second one, Matt Judon, who's a fantastic pickup man, when Bill Belichick makes that big signing, it's going to be someone who makes a difference, a big difference. Judon, I mean, it wasn't a brutal hit. He didn't come down with him on his weight, but he did come down, with some force with Wilson, and Wilson had trouble getting up. May have been a play where he was injured a few plays before, and then he really realized it on that play. But see, sometimes, and this is one of those things that I'm going to kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth and be a little bit controversial. Sometimes the old school NFL wisdom is correct. Okay? And this is what I mean when I say this, Cease. Because, we've been doing this thing, even you and I go into the Shrine Game drink, Senior Bowl drink. What's one thing that old school NFL coaches don't want? They don't want a quarterback who's built like a defensive back or a wide receiver, right? They don't want a 5'11", 6 foot, 200-pound quarterback for the very simple reason that it's rough out there. It is rough, and you have to be built to last. And I think mentally Zach Wilson's built to last. But physically, this was just a game where I watched him on those hits. I'm like, man, he just takes the worst of it. He takes the worst of it with these big defensive players who have bad intentions. And I'm almost surprised that it only took this long. They missed a field goal early. You can't miss a field goal if you have any chance to hang in if you're the Jets. You just can't. Mike White comes in, makes a pass to Corey Davis. Corey Davis with a nice NFL push off. Very subtle, getting a touchdown here. You did see Elijah Moore's speed on an end-around touchdown, but that's it. I mean, they don't have any way to really use him in the passing game. For a little bit, Cecil even thought, hey, with Mike White in, sort of a veteran, I mean, he's been around the league longer, maybe the pass offense will be a little better. And then he started throwing interceptions, and it's not going to be better. Yes, Ty Johnson caught some balls out of the backfield, also left to be checked for a concussion, came back in there. Michael Carter getting some work here. But this is just the Jets, Cease, and you get the stirring victory over the Titans. You have some moral victories in the way you play some of these teams where you make some plays. But now, Cease, it's only week 7. You got a long season left if you're the Jets. What is there really to learn about this team? Now you're going to play those Bengals next week. Probably get your brains beaten in again. And for Robert Saleh, it's just a job of keeping everybody focused and motivated when they know they don't really have a chance to win most every week.
Patriots side is weird because they kept just throwing everything at him.
Yeah.
And Brandon Bolden, what a big day for him. He was always involved in something, throwing it back. Although that pass that he was going to throw, and then they throw it back, and then he's going to throw, and so right. A little bit off on some things there. But Brandon Bolden, 6 for 79 and a touch. Nelson Aguilar, 2 for 51 and a touch. Hunter Henry got 2 for 23 and a touch. Those are the 3 touchdowns from the passing game. Kendrick Bourne threw 1 of those. Mac Jones threw 2 of those. And yes, even Brian Hoyer was in this game. Jones had 307 yards. Damian Harris, 14 for 106 and 2 touchdowns. J.J. Taylor, 9 for 21 and 2 touchdowns. Everyone's lamenting that there's no Ramondre Stevenson. By the way, Kendrick Bourne had 4 for 68, too, and Jonnu Smith had 2 for 52. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 44 in this one. So they did whatever they wanted to. They certainly showed a lot from the Josh McDaniels playbook.
Right.
It was just very odd, that they kept running these trick plays.
Well, Cease, the way I would think of it is the Bill Belichick. He knows he always has the Jets to kick around, right? I mean, the Jets did beat the Patriots during the Mark Sanchez era that one time in the playoffs. Okay. And they have actually played the Patriots tougher than other teams at times when the Patriots seem like a very good team. But didn't you just feel like Belichick goes into this one saying, all right, it's the Jets week. We're going to have some fun this week, guys. All right, have some fun. I want to have some fun this week, right? Right? Because you're right. See, I mean, it was everything. It was all those pages of the playbook that they never use. Kendrick Bourne throwing a touch on the first pass. This ain't Mohamed Sanu. This ain't Jacoby Myers. This is Kendrick Bourne. He's never thrown a pass in an NFL game in his life. He throws a touchdown here. But as an aside to rain on the parade here, Johnny Smith comes out with a couple of big plays. He gets hurt. Isn't that it's right on brand for Johnny Smith? They finally start to use him in a way that he sees speed. You see that speed with that toughness and that rugged running after the catch ability. And then he gets hurt. Speaking of running after the catch in a rugged way or after the carry, Damian Harris looking good. And Ramondre Stevenson, a scratch. So everyone was in on the fun except Ramondre Stevenson. You don't get to go to the party, Ramondre, because you didn't show up for the meeting 5 minutes early. I don't know, but he wasn't active. You saw Harris there was one where he ran the ball down inside the 10 on like a 30-yard carry, which usually means you're going to see someone else come in. No, he stayed in on 1st and goal to 7, ran to the 1, got the call on 2nd and goal to 1 for the touchdown. So you like seeing that from a fantasy perspective, that they're going to give him those chances to finish. And then that wasn't it. Like you said, Bolden gets a touchdown here on a reception. And this is something where we're going to file this away. The Jets played that cover 3. This is Tom Curran's analysis, and it was right on. He thought it was going to be J.J. Taylor. It was actually Brandon Bolden. And then he thought maybe this had something to do with why Ramondre Stevenson was down, or maybe not. Anyway, trying to piece these things together, the Jets cover 3 system is going to leave the running back open, right? It's like next week, maybe it's Joe Mixon, right? And you saw Brandon Bolden have a good day as a receiver. And then J.J. Taylor, if you went off of that piece, hey, J.J. Taylor's up, he's going to be the receiving back today against a team that can't cover receiving back. So he still got 2 touchdowns in garbage time. Not 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns in garbage time. See, how many times when we do this recap show do we talk about one player getting 2 garbage time touchdowns, and not for the team that lost, for the team that won? Garbage time touchdowns are for the loser. The winner is just trying to run out the clock. Not the Patriots again. Belichick, we're have some fun today. You know who didn't have fun? Jacoby Myers. You score 54 points, and you can't find a Jacoby Myers touchdown in there somewhere? Please? Anyone? So, yeah, this is a game where we thought, what will be the progress for the Jets? Will the Jets make this a little tighter? Did the Jets learn anything from that first game? No. Actually, what we see is it's the Patriots starting to come into focus. Mac Jones, this offense, this defense, getting a little swag back just in time for a showdown with the Chargers.
Showdown, that we'll see how it goes. I don't have confidence that it'll go their way. But either way, we are 1 game from Cincinnati to Baltimore, so let's speed through Panthers and Giants.
Okay.
Because I don't give a damn. 25-3. Okay. Sam Darnold, nobody started him. Chuba Hubbard, maybe. Okay. 4 for 28 as a receiver and 12 for 28 as a runner. So consistency. DJ Moore, 6 for 73 in this one. You're not starting anybody else from the Panthers side. And yeah, well, that's it. They're 3-4 after starting 3-0.
3-0. This is where we always have to be cognizant of the schedule, right? First of all, Cease, for the intro to this one, because we don't have a lot of bandwidth for college football. We would love to have it, but we don't. Did you hear that there was a 9 overtime game in college football this weekend? Penn State and Illinois.
Okay.
Guess what the score of the game was?
What?
20-18. 20-18 in a 9 overtime game. 20-18. You only put up 20 points and 18 points in a 9 overtime game in college football. It also was decided by a safety. So that's what this game was like for a while. It was 3-2. It was 5-3. There's your baseball score, Cease. But in the end, what you come out of this with is, yes, Sam Darnold is not good. Okay? And the Panthers are admitting it. Somebody tweeted out, I think it was Factory of Sadness. The Jets actually got 2 picks for Sam Darnold. Someone else said, and they got picks for Jamal Adams, too. Well, it's not helping them much, right now, at least. But, yeah, you see the Panthers waving the white flag. Now, yes, Darnold's going to start next week against Atlanta, and maybe he'll even look good. But P.J. Walker looked terrible in this one. The Temple connection not exactly coming through. So that's part of the reason. It's like, Darnold's still our quarterback. Well, yeah, because you're just going to concede the season. At least they didn't trade their first round pick away or something like that. At least when they gave up those picks to get Henderson and Gilmore, they didn't give up great picks, because then you have these cornerbacks, but you don't have a quarterback. Leonard Williams drew an intentional grounding in the end zone from Sam Darnold. There was a terrible interception he threw as they were driving down the field to James Bradbury. Yes, DJ Moore is going to be okay, and that's it. See, so you have to wonder going forward, what do you have in Christian McCaffrey if you're sitting on him? Or what do you have in Chuba Hubbard? You're going to keep him in your lineup, but this is a bad team. This is a bad offense. This is a bad quarterback. And that's not going to change in this one. When the Giants are the team that feels great walking out of a game and feel like everything worked, everything's clicking, you know that other team probably has problems.
What you have in Christian McCaffrey is a player that you hope gets traded. We'll see. Giants side, because I want to talk Bengals. Devontae Booker rushing touchdown. Daniel Jones passing touchdown. Darius Slayton 5 for 63. Dante Pettis had the receiving touchdown. Nobody started him. Evan Ingram 6 for 44. Where the hell was Sterling Shepard in this one? Because we thought all week, okay, we're going to see no Kadarius Toney, no Kenny Golladay. Going to be a big day for Sterling Shepard. Well, he was out. So Darius Slayton had the semi-big day.
Yeah, and the Panthers' defense isn't really the problem, but Daniel Jones, highly accurate in this one, not exactly throwing downfield, pushing the ball downfield, but you have a lot of injuries at wide receiver, so we can forgive them there. Dante Pettis actually also, in addition to scoring a touchdown, threw one, not a touchdown, but a pass, a completion to Daniel Jones. So that was kind of fun to see, right? Jason Garrett says, well, I can have some fun too. You've also had Slayton, Ingram making some catches here. Devontae Booker even got a garbage time touchdown. So that bailed you out if you had to play Devontae Booker this week. And the Giants aren't going anywhere. Well, they're going to Kansas City next week, so they can play spoiler and maybe misery loves company. They're not miserable this week because they found a team and a quarterback even more miserable.
Finally, the game that was the game, and then it wasn't a game.
Yeah.
It was good, and at halftime, it was 13-10. You see these teams fighting. It's Cincinnati and Baltimore in this one. Been waiting for this one. 41-17, the final score. And you look at the Cincinnati side, they're 5-2 now. And Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns, 416 yards. Jamar Chase, 8 for 201 and a touchdown. And staying on his feet. That was the 82-yarder, right? Staying on his feet in a way that you would see Barry Sanders like spin around, put his hand down, keep his feet, and keep going. CJ Uzomah, 3 for 91 and 2 touchdowns. If you got him on the waiver wire a couple of weeks ago when he started that breakout, then good for you. T. Higgins, 7 for 62. Tyler Boyd. And listen, this is a day when Joe Burrow throws for 400 yards and Tyler Boyd gets 4 for 39. That tells you what you need to know. Joe Mixon got a rushing touchdown. Samaje Perine back up the Coof list. He got a rushing touchdown there as well. And the Bengals turned it on in the second half. Again, 13-10. They had the lead, small one, at halftime. But man alive, in their defense, swarming around Lamar Jackson, Trey Hendrickson. Saw him at the Shrine game. Reminded me of Derek Wolfe. He's a hell of a lot better than Derek Wolfe. My God, Trey Hendrickson was a man out there. So let's talk about this Bengals game. Been waiting all show for this, Bloom, because this was a great game.
The feel-good story of the season, right? Because we were celebrating when they would get a win. And then, of course, there was that just heartbreaking loss to Green Bay when no one could make a kick until finally Mason Crosby made one. And they get a win here that's a resounding win. And see, it's against the opponent. I know that the Steelers have the Bengals number. But they did that last year as kind of a moral victory with Ryan Finley starting or something like that. And then they really handled the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Now they go to Baltimore. Remember that this game was in Baltimore. And like you said, Cease, it was a back and forth game until it wasn't, until the Bengals just pulled away. And what you're seeing here is after the offense started slow, you saw Burrow a couple of times a game, since that Jacksonville game, I think it really turned something on. And that's the last game that Uzomah had 2 touchdowns. It's the LSU Burrow. And what it is, Cease, is it's negotiating the pocket. So when we think of players, quarterbacks making plays off script, we're thinking like scrambling and changing field, do all this stuff. No. Burrow's subtle. Burrow's just going to make subtle adjustments in the pocket. His eyes are always downfield. He knows where his receivers are. He knows what he's capable of. No one's talking about, Joe Burrow doesn't have an NFL arm anymore, huh? You're not hearing that. Right. Because Joe Burrow is feeling good, and he's making those hyper-accurate throws, setting up C.J. Uzomah, who looked strong and swift after the catch for those opportunities, just like he did against Jacksonville. Then you enter Jamar Chase. Woo! Oh, man. Beautiful. It's all translating. And kind of like Anquan Bolden, what you're seeing with Chase is, he's not truly a burner, but he's fast. And he's fast and he's solidly built, so he's hard to bring down. And he also has incredible contact balance. He also has incredible ball skills, ball tracking, leap timing, high pointing, all that stuff. It is there and it is translating. I think it was our mutual friend Adam Harstad of Footballguys saying not only did he break the record for the most receiving yards, Anquan Bolden's record, by the way, for first 7 games of your career, he in 7 games broke Marcus Colston's record. Isn't it great to go down memory lane for the first 8 games of your career? So already Jamar Chase has done that. He's pushing Cooper Kupp to be the most valuable wide receiver in fantasy football at this rate. And the 82-yarder was a short pass on time. Burrow, always on time. And Chase made 3 guys not really miss, just he's tough to bring down. You got to come at him, and defensive backs don't do this, Cease. Where are we at now in 2021? You got to cover. Don't give up separation.
Right.
You got to tackle. Tackling's kind of important.
Well,
in
where
football.
else are we at? Nobody practices tackling, and you can tell.
Right. And this is and Brandon Staley, cue him saying, hey, yeah, you want to make the defense tackle. You want to make them take on blocks. You don't want to just concede that. On that note was Joe Mixon with the touchdown to first open things up. And he didn't really do much in this game. This is a great buy low moment for Joe Mixon because this whole team is starting to take off. And Mixon looks good. He looked good on the touchdown. He also always had a rough time against the Ravens. And for fantasy, he didn't put you over the top. But that touchdown, which really put the game out of reach. But what really put the game out of reach then was a Samaje Perine, I think a 46-yarder for a touchdown if you just had to throw him in. And this team now is feeling great. This team is feeling like, why not us? Why can't we? If we did this to Baltimore, remember, Baltimore has held up against all of the AFC's best.
Did it
right?
to Baltimore in Baltimore. They're starting to believe, Bloom, and that's very dangerous.
Well, and remember, Baltimore thumped the Chargers last week on both sides of the ball. Baltimore's defense controlled the line of scrimmage. Baltimore's offensive line controlled the line of scrimmage.
They try to treat him like the little brother still.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers, you get up for that game, right?
Right.
It's Justin Herbert, and we're Baltimore, and Baltimore's a tough place to play, man.
Yeah.
Against the Bengals, you're like, it's the same old Bengals. No, it's not.
No, it's not. And T. Higgins is coming back, by the way, making plays in the air. Joe Burrow is giving him opportunities. Like you said to Tyler Boyd, this is just how it's going to be. Boyd can still play, but in this offense, with this competitive, balanced offense and team, he's just not going to have a big role. He's more of when they have to throw the ball 45 times. Well, they don't have to. They have a great, balanced team. And windows, like you say, Cease, or just the way that as the calendar turns, the world turns, the fates, the destinies of these teams turn, because how many different AFC favorites have we had so far, Cease? Going into the season, it was Kansas City, right? I mean, you can just step through
Buffalo,
week by week.
And then
right,
they lose to the Steelers, you're like,
and
no.
Right. And then it's Baltimore, and then it's
It's
Buffalo.
the Chargers.
Now
They're
it's the Chargers. Now it's Tennessee. Maybe next week it'll be Cincinnati because they play the Jets. Everyone looks like a Super Bowl favorite when they play the Jets.
Ravens side of things, Lamar Jackson out there, 257, 1 touchdown, no INTs, also 88 yards on the ground. Devontae Freeman with a rushing touchdown. Marquise Brown, 5 for 80 and a touch. Rashod Bateman, I was thinking as I was watching this, Bloom, I was like, they have their own version of Killer Bees. And it includes Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, right.
He's not much of a killer. He's a killer for your fantasy team, right? Stop trying to make Le'Veon Bell a thing. Marquise Brown, 5 for 80 and a touch. Rashod Bateman, 3 for 80 and a touch. What was it, the 35-yarder? I mean, just beautiful stuff he did in college, right? Breaking ankles, getting open. Hey, I'm open, wide open, catch passes. So you loved Rashod Bateman before the season. He's paying that off now that he's healthy. Mark Andrews only 3 for 48 in this one. A bunch of nothing from everybody else. And 17, again, they were in it. And then that Cincinnati defense just went clamp on the Baltimore offense.
Yeah, the Cincinnati defense. The Cincinnati defense was up for this one. And what's fascinating to watch here, Cease, is how quickly things change. Yes, the Ravens offense relies on Lamar Jackson. It is a Lamar Jackson offense. Lamar Jackson, the passer. What was the key thing, Cease, going into this year when you're facing the Lamar Jackson Ravens? What was most important?
Run.
You stop the run. Yeah, you stop the run. You got to come in ready to stop the run.
Yeah.
You got to come in ready for all the wrinkles in the running game. You got to come in ready to play 11-on-11 football against the run. If you can do that, you have a chance. You want to have Lamar Jackson back there as a pocket passer. Now it's almost the opposite because without Nick Boyle or otherwise without much talent in the backfield, they're not really able to establish the run. They had no interest in establishing the run in this game. Yes, Devontae Freeman got a touchdown, whatever. Lamar Jackson comes out cold. And you did see him start to hook up with Mark Andrews. I'm not worried about Mark Andrews, but at the same time, you wonder with Rashod Bateman also making some plays downfield, unlike last week, and of course Marquise Brown, who's going to continue to do Marquise Brown things. How does that work with a three-man pass offense? At least Lamar Jackson. Did we ever think Lamar Jackson would be a prolific enough passer to support 3 every week starts? He might be. He might be, depending on if they can get this running game on track. You saw Lamar Jackson. So here's what happens, Cease. You have him back there throwing downfield. He's going to get sacked a lot. And that's, like you were mentioning, Trey Hendrickson and company. That's not great either. He did get a lot with his legs because they have no other running game to speak of at this point, and he's putting it all on his shoulders. We've made it full circle all the way back, Cease, to he's putting the whole offense on his shoulders, and that's going to catch up to him. You know what? He had not lost to the Bengals in his career going into this game. And the Bengals have still not given up 25 points in a game, more than 25. That's impressive in this NFL. Mm-hmm. We haven't been giving this defense the love that they deserve. They're off to a strong start. They're a balanced team. It is enough to make you dizzy the way the NFL from week to week changes, but at the same time, it does eventually culminate in something that is satisfying. In fantasy football, it can be very satisfying or very dissatisfying, but this is and by the way, Baltimore goes into their bye, so they get to think about this. You know, they're 5-2, everything's okay. Well, it doesn't feel okay. Not when you lose 41-17 at home to a division rival. And this is fun. This is what we want, Cease. I mean, we want 5, 6, 7 teams in the AFC feeling like they can win the Super Bowl. 5, 6, 7 teams in the NFC feeling like they can win the Super Bowl. And we're not even halfway through the season.
Here we go, Eagles and Raiders. That one isn't very satisfying.
No.
That's why Cincinnati and Baltimore was the game of the day.
The showcase.
But Eagles and Raiders, 33-22. Raiders get the win. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, and also 61 yards rushing to lead the team, 236 yards passing. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 70 in this one. Kenneth Gainwell with the receiving touchdown, and 4 for 41 as a receiver, 5 for 20 as a rusher. Boston Scott gets a rushing touchdown. Notice how I'm not mentioning Miles Sanders, 6 for 30. Who's even starting him? I know, by apocalypse or whatever. Yeah. Who's starting Miles Sanders? Seriously. Do you hate yourself? Devontae Smith, 5 for 61 in this one. So there's a little bit. I mean, I had Goddard in some leagues, but that's about it from this Philadelphia side.
Yeah, typical stuff here. Philadelphia can't play with good teams. Does that mean the Raiders are a good team? I think it might.
Without John Gruden.
I'm open to it. Jalen Hurts is not going to play that well as a passer, but it's going to put up buku fantasy points. He did that. Miles Sanders actually came in looking good in this one season. He was going to make people look smart for playing him. Then he hurt his ankle. Looked pretty bad. So you come in, you get Scott with a touchdown. Gainwell's touchdown actually came before the injury. So we'll talk about them on the waiver wire. It's a split backfield. The offense runs through Jalen Hurts anyway. Dallas Goedert had a 2-pointer in addition to the 3 catches he made downfield. You know, Devontae Smith had some catches so that he wasn't a total waste. Jalen Reagor's touchdown was into a crowd. It was, I think, 2 or 3 Raiders around him when he caught it, and he somehow caught it, and then they all kind of banged into each other instead of trying to tackle him. So it was a Reagor touchdown, but that wasn't a good play or a good decision by Jalen Hurts. It worked out. That's how it is going. So this Philadelphia team wasn't able to hang with Vegas, not in the closest. Can we get maybe a Detroit Lions win next week when Philadelphia goes to Detroit?
Maybe. I almost had one today for a little bit. It looked like maybe. Spoiler alert. Let's talk about the Raiders first. We need an update on Josh Jacobs and him getting banged up. Foster Moreau, who I thought looked a little bit like Kirk Cousins. There was like a shot where he turned to the sideline, and I was like, he kind of looks like a beefy Kirk Cousins, but Foster Moreau 6 for 60 and a touch. Brian Edwards 3 for 43 and a touch. The 2 touchdowns from Derek Carr, 323 yards passing, 1 interception as well. Kenyon Drake with a rushing touchdown, 1469 and a touch. Again, no Gruden. Drake has emerged. We talked about that. Jacobs 29 yards and a touchdown before he's bounced and out with that injury. 3 for 39 as a receiver as well. Hunter Renfrow 7 for 58. Henry Ruggs 4 for 24. And that was about it. I think there was the rushing play that they called back due to a penalty. Oh yeah, he lowered his head. Henry Ruggs would have had more rushing yards, or receiving yards, but he lowered his head. It took the play away. Anyway, Raiders rolling without John Gruden, but now maybe without Josh Jacobs as well.
Yeah, he's got a chest injury. Hopefully, it's not a torn pec or anything like that. And they have Kenyon Drake. That's why you paid him to come in. And again, Cecil, in this question of who's legit in the AFC, I think if we were to put together the top 5 teams in the AFC, there's a better argument for the Raiders to be on there than the Chiefs, for instance, because the Raiders they played Baltimore tough, right? They beat them. The Raiders are a team now. You can see it. We thought maybe, but we want to see another week that without John Gruden, this team is relaxed. Because Carr comes out and throws an interception off of Jalen Rashard's hands in the red zone. Oh boy, here we go. No, here we go to an easy win. Derek Carr, not exactly barnstorming and throwing downfield a lot, but he didn't need to. He was hyper accurate. What was he on the days? He's like 29 for 32. How often do you see 29 for 32 in an NFL box score? That's impressive against any NFL defense. I don't even care if it was against the Jets defense.
He was 31 to 34.
I'm sorry, 31 to 34.
And he did with 300 plus yards. So again,
Right.
31 for 34 for 100 yards. Like, okay, maybe.
Right.
It sounds like a Teddy Bridgewater game. But anyway, Derek Carr, okay, good job.
Yeah, very good job. And without Darren Waller, who's the straw that serves the drink in the passing game. But Foster Moreau comes in, and he's longtime listeners of the show will know, and a few people hopefully followed me on this one, because I had Moreau in like 4 or 5 of my lineups today. I've been waiting.
Yeah, Senior Bowl. He's a good player.
So long. He's a really good player, and every time he gets an opportunity for the Raiders, he looks good. He's just not getting opportunities because they have Darren Waller. Well, no Darren Waller. Moreau's touchdown catch was beautiful, by the way. Beautiful, high difficulty. And he just not made it look easy, but made it look a play that he can make. Jacobs looked good early in the game, gets hurt. Drake comes in. They're both good plays as it works out. Again, you got an Edwards touchdown. You got Renfro looking good. But this didn't need to be the Al Davis throw the ball vertical offense, because Derek Carr is not really making mistakes. Again, it was Jalen Rashard as much as Derek Carr more. And this team is going into their bye feeling great. And it's fun. I want the Raiders to be a good team. I want the long-suffering Raiders fans to have something to cheer for. And now, just imagine a playoff bracket where on Wild Card Weekend we would get, like Titans Raiders and Ravens Chargers and, Chiefs and Bengals. You know what I mean? Wow. That could be like the first weekend of football in the AFC bracket. I love it.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh drafts like $1 million. That's what it's new. It's fresh. It's up and coming teams. It's long suffering teams. Like, it's different and it's better than, let's say, the super teams of the NBA. Lions and Rams is up next. And oh man, Lions, you almost got there. I know it's 28-19, so it doesn't seem like it, but there was 11 points in the fourth quarter from the Rams. This was a close game. It was a hard fought game by those crafty Lions. Jared Goff throws a touchdown and 2 INTs. The touchdown to DeAndre Swift, 8 for 96 and a touch as a receiver, 13 for 48 as a runner. Jamal Williams leads the team with 12 for 57 on the ground. Khalif Raymond, friend of the show, almost texted him after the game just to be like, keep doing it, man. Because what was that one grab he had, Bloom? He's literally parallel to the ground.
Yeah.
And Khalif's not a big guy at all. Small catch radius, small man. And he's like diving for these catches, more than one catch. He's out there diving, reaching, grabbing, trying to get this team to the win. And they didn't get there, but 6 for 115 for Khalif. So good job, Khalif. TJ Hawkinson, 6 for 48 in this contest. Don't get greedy. And that was about it. So they put up a fight. They almost had it. And then the fourth quarter happened.
What Dan Campbell is doing here is miraculous. They haven't won a game, and he deserves all the credit in the world. It's like if we came to a river, and I said, okay, here is some balsa wood and styrofoam, and I want you to build a bridge. And you built the best bridge you could, and we made it almost all the way across the river, but then we fell in the river. Oh, my God. Just that even you got over the river at all, that you had a chance with what he has to work with on this roster, plus the injuries. All of their best players are getting hurt. Wow. And what you love about this, Cecil, is it really is the way that we would want a team to be run that has not that much of a chance to win, at least based on the quality of their roster.
Right.
Onside kick after your first touchdown. Throw a fake punt. Like, that's the thing, right? See, because you throw the onside kick out. Well, they're not going to do a fake punt. Yeah, they are. Oh, they're not going to do another fake. Yeah, they are. Yeah. You love it. I mean, it's that 16 seed against a 1 seed mentality from the NCAA basketball tournament. It's like, well, if we have a chance to win, we have to take big risks. And they may not work out, but that's the only way we have a chance to win. They want to win. And they played this Rams team close to straight up for most of the game. Early on, DeAndre Swift gets loose. And, this is DeAndre Swift, you have the whole gamut. Because obviously, someone says DeAndre Swift league winner in the chat room. But hey, the way that he's their best offensive player and that they continue to get the ball in his hands, he may be in PPR leagues. But also, there was a pivotal point in the game where he had sat down as an outlet, and then he decided to turn and try to move. And Jared Goff, it was in the red zone, and Jared Goff threw the ball to where he was. And the drive didn't work out because of that. I think they settled for a field goal. And that felt like a turning point where, like, ooh, that's going to make you can't give away 4 points to the Rams if you're going to win. You just can't. All that speed from Raymond, and like you said, sees Khalif Raymond also making some plays. So here's a positive story that comes out of a team like the Lions that are maybe going to win 1 or 2 games, pick at the top of the draft, is it gives players like Khalif Raymond an opportunity to make a career. Because he wasn't even going into this offseason considered a potential starter. Rashod Perryman. Then Raymond works his way into a starting spot. Then Terrell Williams gets hurt. And now he's showing that he not just belongs in the league, can be productive, maybe even make the waiver wire show. They did have a chance in this game. Goff threw a terrible end zone interception. And that's the thing. Jared Goff is just not going to get you there. We're seeing the limitations of Jared Goff. And he's going to make some things happen in structure when the play called is a good play and executed well. And that's about it. If it falls on his shoulders, then it's not going to happen. However, yes, I'm not really going to mean this, but I'm just going to say it because it's fun. If you aren't rooting for the Lions against the Eagles, unless you're an Eagles fan, you're not my friend.
Unless you're Jason Wood.
Right. Because if you're an Eagles fan, yeah.
And he's an Eagles season ticket holder since
a long time ago.
I don't know. Harold Carmichael.
Right.
Ron Jaworski.
At least Andre Waters.
Going. Okay. All right. I was going to say, how far back would that go to Randall days? I don't know if it goes to Jaworski days, but I know it's been a long time for Woodrow. So Woodrow, hit us up. Let us know how long you've been that season ticket holder. Let's talk about the Rams before we're out of here on tonight's program. Matthew Stafford, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, no INTs. Cooper Kupp, 10 for 156 and 2 TDs. Van Jefferson with the other touchdown, 4 for 43 and a touch. Tyler Higbee, 5 for 46 in this one. Robert Woods, 6 for 70. And then Darrell Henderson, 15 for 45 and then 3 for 19. And Deshaun Jackson was targeted once. That's about the only player I haven't talked about. Bloom, including Sony Michel, 2 for 4. Now I've covered everybody. And it took everybody. The fourth quarter surge got him over the top.
Yeah, it did. And it wasn't a Darrell Henderson game because it was a competitive game, because Detroit still playing their hearts out on defense, and it's their run defense that can hang, their pass defense that can't hang. And yeah, Higbee, Woods, Jefferson, they'll contribute to your fantasy team, but it's all about Cooper Kupp. And this is just a psychological test, Cecil. I'm sorry to spring this on you, okay? It's not going to be embarrassing. Don't worry. I'll save that for another show. When I say we aren't going to let this wide receiver beat us no matter what game or what player pops into your head?
Randy Moss.
Oh, that's a good one, although it never worked. I always think of
unless he played for the Raiders. Sorry, right. Jason.
I always think of Steve Smith that one playoff year that Chicago, they triple covered him, right? The year that they went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. Am I remembering this correctly? Because my brain is so unreliable. So there was a situation there where Steve Smith was so good in the playoffs that the Bears basically said, you have to beat us with someone else than Steve Smith, and it didn't work. And I wonder, and obviously Cooper Kupp isn't Steve Smith. I mean, his game isn't like Steve Smith's at all. You don't use him the same way you use Steve Smith. Is it time for opposing defenses to say that? Is it time for opposing defenses to say you have to throw to somebody else? Because it's just too easy. It's just too easy. And it shouldn't be that difficult to blanket or bracket Cooper Kupp because he does a lot of his work so close to the line of scrimmage. Because for fantasy football, we are now reaching rarefied air. I want to say that what he did, 800 yards plus, 9 touchdowns plus in the first 7 games, never been done before. Never been done before. So at some point, is the pendulum going to swing back? I mean, you're going to play him every week. It's not going to really affect our fantasy football strategies, but I just wonder, maybe it's a reason to look at Woods or Higbee or Jefferson as a buy low, because at some point defenses have to say, we have to at least take this away. It's coming too easy for this team. But at the same time, it shows you, the Rams, at different times, they look like potentially a dominant team or one of the best teams in the NFC, but the Rams, the Lions gave them all they could handle. I don't know if the Texans will next week.
Yeah, I know we'll be talking about it next week, probably on Monday, right? Because of Halloween.
Halloween.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, and no
Halloween,
Thursday show this week,
yeah.
folks, because it's Halloween week. But we love you, and we love all the time we get to spend.
No
with you.
Thursday show. It ain't Halloween on Thursday, baby.
It's an extended holiday
Okay. Was it a New Orleans thing?
on assignment.
On assignment. Okay. I like that. On assignment. Sigmund Bloom, Cecil, Lammey. We're on assignment at footballguys.com. Make sure to check us out, footballguys.com. Go there and check out our free daily newsletter every day. The top news stories right to your inbox, hot and fresh, because you have a life and we don't. Opinions written by Sigmund Bloom, Cecil Lammey, and Joe Bryant. It's a hell of a trio. So check us out. That's a way to dip your toe with Football Guys. If you like what you see and you like this show and love this show, we appreciate you. Check out footballguys.com and subscribe there. Orange button says join now, upper right-hand corner. Go there, click it, come through. We'll come through for you as your guide. You're the hero. Save time, worry less, win more. It is footballguys.com. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey, and the show is at the Audible. We appreciate everyone out there for watching, for listening. And Sig, chug-a-lug.
Yes.
We'll be back on Tuesday morning with the Waiver Wire show. Everyone out there, stay tuned. And as always, stay frosty.